What if the ending you have been so terrified of is actually the only beginning you have ever truly deserved, and the fear of the ending is not a fear of loss, but a fear of the unknown that follows, a fear of the blank page that waits for you after the final chapter, a fear of the silence that comes after the last note, and you have been clinging to the crumbling edges of a story that has already ended a story, that is nothing but a ghost that you have been feeding with your tears, your energy, your life, because you are too afraid to close the book and start a new one. But the book is not sacred. The book is not eternal. The book is just a vessel that carried you for a time. But the time is over. The vessel is broken, and you are still trying to drink from the cracked clay when the ocean is lapping at your feet. And today, we are going to let the book fall from our hands. We are going to watch it sink into the depths. We are going to turn our backs on the ghost. And we are going to walk into the ocean of possibility. We are going to swim. We are going to drown. We are going to be reborn, because the ending is not the enemy. The ending is the midwife. The ending is the one who holds your hand as you are pulled from the womb of the old into the light of the new. And the light is blinding, but blindness is the first step to a new kind of seeing. The first story is a story of a village that was cursed to repeat the same day over and over for 1,000 years, and the villagers were trapped in a loop of dawn and dusk, of planting and harvesting, of births and deaths, and they had forgotten that the loop was a curse. They had come to accept it as normal. They had come to love the predictability, the safety, the comfort of knowing exactly what would happen next, and they were happy, they were content. They were dead. And one day a stranger came to the village, a stranger who was not bound by the loop, a stranger who could see the pattern, and the stranger said, "You are living the same day, the same life, the same story, and you have been doing it for 1,000 years. Why do you not break the loop?" And the villagers were confused. They said, "Break the loop? But this is all we have ever known. This is who we are. The loop is our identity. The loop is our peace. If we break the loop, we will be nothing. We will be lost." And the stranger said, "You are already lost. You are lost in the illusion of safety. You are lost in the illusion of control. You are lost in the illusion of predictability. The loop is not peace. It is a cage, and the cage is made of your own fear, your own refusal to face the unknown. Break the loop, and you will not be nothing. You will be everything. You will be the infinite. You will be the possibility." And the villagers were silent. They were afraid, they were tempted, and one of them, a young woman named Alara, decided to break the loop. She did not know how. She did not know what would happen, but she knew that the loop was a lie, and she walked to the edge of the village, and she stepped into the mist, and the mist was not a mist. It was a door to the real world, a world that was not a loop, a world that was a spiral, a world that was a dance. And she stepped through the door, and she was free. And the twist is that the village did not dissolve. The village did not disappear. The village continued, but the loop was broken, and the villagers were no longer trapped. They could leave, they could stay, they could choose. And they said the loop was not a curse. It was a lesson. The lesson was that we must break our own loops. We must break our own patterns. We must break our own cages. And the breaking is the beginning. The breaking is the birth. The breaking is the life. The second story is a story of a king who built a tower of stone, a tower that reached the clouds, a tower that was meant to be his legacy, his monument, his immortality. And he spent his life building the tower. He used every resource, every laborer, every stone in the kingdom. And the tower was magnificent. It was the tallest structure in the world, and the king was proud. He was content. He was ready to die because he had achieved his legacy. But one night, an earthquake came, a great shaking of the earth, and the tower crumbled. It fell, it became a pile of rubble, and the king was devastated. He was destroyed. He had lost everything, his legacy, his monument, his immortality, and he sat in the rubble weeping. And a child came to him, a child who was not afraid. And the child said, "Why are you weeping, Your Majesty?" And the king said, My tower is gone. My legacy is gone. I am nothing." And the child said, "The tower was not your legacy. The tower was your fear of death, your fear of meaninglessness, your fear of being forgotten. The tower was a monument to your fear, not to your life. Your life is not in the stone. Your life is in the moments of love, the moments of kindness, the moments of connection. The moments are the legacy, and the moments cannot be destroyed by an earthquake. The moments are eternal." And the king looked at the child, and he saw that the child was his own younger self, the self he had abandoned in his pursuit of stone, and he wept not from grief but from relief. And the twist is that he did not rebuild the tower he built. A garden of flowers, a garden of life, a garden that grew and changed and died and grew again. And he said, "The stone was a lie. The life is the truth. The truth is the garden, and the garden is the legacy of growth, the legacy of change, the legacy of life." The third story is a story of a musician who played the same note for 40 years, a single perfect resonant note, and the note was beautiful. It was pure. It was the most perfect note ever heard. And the musician was famous, he was celebrated. He was the master of the note, but he was also bored. He was so bored that he had become numb. He could not feel the note anymore. He could only hear it, and he knew that he had lost something essential, something that made the note worth playing. And one day a young musician came to him and said, "Teach me the note." And the master said, "I cannot teach you the note. I can only show you how to find it, and the way to find it is to stop playing it, to stop clinging to it, to let it go, and to play a different note, a wrong note, a note that is not perfect, a note that is alive." And the young musician was confused. He said, "But you are the master of the note. How can you tell me to play a wrong note?" And the master said, "Because I have been playing the right note for so long that I have forgotten what it means to be alive. The wrong note is the path to the new right note. The wrong note is the path to discovery. The wrong note is the path to life." And the young musician played a wrong note, a jarring, discordant, ugly note, and the master wept not from pain but from joy, because he had heard something new, something real, something alive. And the twist is that the master did not go back to the perfect note. He started playing the wrong notes. He started exploring the dissonance, the chaos, the ugliness, and he found a new beauty, a beauty that was not perfect, a beauty that was human. And he said, the perfect note was a prison, the wrong note was the key. And the key opened the door to a music that is not about precision. It is about expression. It is about feeling. It is about life. The fourth story is a story of a sailor who was lost at sea, lost for so long that he had forgotten what land looked like. He had forgotten the smell of soil, the feel of grass, the sound of birds, and he was desperate. He was hopeless. He was ready to die. And one day he saw a bird that was flying towards the horizon, and he followed the bird. He followed it for days, for weeks, and the bird led him to an island of lush green trees, of clear blue water, of white sandy beaches, and the sailor wept. He wept with joy. He had found land, he had found life, and he stepped onto the island and he was home. But then he looked around and he saw that the island was not an island. It was the back of a giant turtle, a turtle that was swimming through the sea, and the turtle was not a destination. It was a traveler like himself, and the sailor was confused. He was scared. He did not know what to do, and the turtle spoke to him. The turtle said, "You have been searching for land, but land is not the answer. The answer is the journey. The journey is the land. The journey is the home. The journey is the destination. You have been so focused on finding a place to stop that you have forgotten that the stopping is not the point. The moving is the point. The living is the point. The being is the point." And the sailor was silent, and he realized that the turtle was right. He had been so focused on the destination that he had missed the journey. And the twist is that he did not stay on the turtle. He jumped off. He swam back to his boat, and he sailed on, not to find land, but to find the journey. And he said, The land was a dream, the journey is the reality, and the reality is the movement. The movement is the life, and the life is the journey, and the journey is forever. The fifth story is a story of a poet who wrote a single poem, a poem that was so beautiful, so profound, so perfect that it was hailed as the greatest poem ever written. And the poet was famous. He was revered. He was the voice of his generation. But he was also trapped because he could never write another poem. He could never match the perfection of the first, and he was afraid he was paralyzed. He was empty, and one day a child came to him and said, "Write me a poem." And the poet said, "I cannot, I have written the perfect poem, I have nothing left to say." And the child said, "The perfect poem is the end of poetry. The perfect poem is the death of the poet. The perfect poem is a tombstone. Not a poem, write me a poem that is not perfect. Write me a poem that is alive. Write me a poem that is a mess. A poem that is a question. A poem that is a beginning." And the poet was silent. And he realized that the child was right. The perfect poem was a prison, and he had been living in that prison for years. He had been worshiping the tombstone, and he had forgotten how to live. And he picked up his pen, and he wrote a poem that was not perfect, a poem that was messy, a poem that was full of questions, a poem that was a beginning, and he wept not from sorrow, but from relief, because he had found his voice again. And the twist is that the imperfect poem became more famous than the perfect one because it was real, it was human, it was alive. And he said, the perfect poem was a lie. The imperfect poem is the truth, and the truth is the only thing worth writing. The sixth story is a story of a king who was obsessed with the past. A king who spent his days reading the history of his ancestors, studying their victories, their defeats, their strategies, and he was trying to recreate their glory, to relive their moments, to be them. And he was failing miserably because the past was not the present, and the ancestors were not him. And he was miserable. He was lost. He was a ghost in his own kingdom. And one day a jester came to the court, a jester who was not a fool, a jester who was a sage. And the jester said, "Your Majesty, you are living in a museum. You are surrounded by the bones of the dead, and you are trying to put flesh on the bones, but the bones are dead and they will never live again. You must stop looking at the past. You must stop trying to be your ancestors. You must become yourself. You must write your own history. You must be the first of a new line, not the last of an old one." And the king was angry, he was furious, he had the jester thrown into the dungeon, but the words echoed in his mind and he could not escape them. And he spent a year in the dungeon thinking, and when he emerged, he was a different man. He did not look at the past anymore. He looked at the future. He looked at his own face, his own hands, his own kingdom. And the twist is that he did not become a great king in the way his ancestors were great. He became a great king in his own way, a way that was unique, a way that was his. And he said, the past is a teacher, not a master, and the teacher must be respected, but the master must be the self, and the self is the present. And the present is the only place where greatness can be born. The seventh story is a story of a woman who was terrified of spiders. She had been terrified since childhood, and the fear had grown. It had consumed her. It had dictated her life. She could not enter a room without checking the corners. She could not sleep without checking the sheets. She could not breathe without scanning the walls. And she was exhausted. She was trapped. She was a prisoner of her own fear. And one day she met a spider that was not a threat, a spider that was simply a spider, and she was frozen. She could not move. She could not scream. She could not breathe, and the spider sat there waiting, and she realized that the spider was not attacking, the spider was not defending, the spider was just existing. And she realized that the spider was a mirror of her own fear, and the fear was not the spider. The fear was her own reaction, her own story, her own belief. And she made a choice. She chose to let go of the story. She chose to breathe. She chose to look at the spider, really look, and she saw that the spider was beautiful. It was intricate. It was a masterpiece of nature, and she wept not from fear but from gratitude, because she had been released, she had been freed. And the twist is that she did not become a spider lover. She became a spider observer. She became a student of her own fear, and she said, "The spider was never the enemy. The enemy was the story I told myself about the spider. The story was a cage, and the cage was in my mind. And the mind is a door that I can open, a door that I can walk through. And the door leads to a world where spiders are just spiders, and fear is just a feeling. And the feeling is not the truth is the freedom." The 8th story is a story of a clock that was always 5 minutes slow, and the owner of the clock was obsessed with punctuality. He was always rushing, always stressed, always angry because the clock was always behind. And he could not fix it. He had tried every clockmaker, every repair, every trick, and the clock remained stubbornly, infuriatingly slow. And one day he was late for an important meeting and he was furious. He threw the clock against the wall, and it shattered, and he was relieved he was free. He was finally rid of the tyranny of the clock. But then he looked at the pieces, and he saw that the clock was not broken, it was just different. It was a timepiece of its own, and he realized that the clock was not slow. It was on its own time, its own rhythm, its own beat, and he realized that he had been trying to force the clock to conform to his time, to his rhythm, to his beat. And he had been fighting a losing battle because the clock was not broken. It was just free, and the twist is that he did not buy a new clock. He did not try to fix the old one. He simply accepted that he would be 5 minutes slow, and he started telling people, "I am on my own time. I am on my own rhythm. I am on my own beat. And if you can wait, I will be there. And if you cannot, I understand. But I will not be a slave to the clock anymore. I will be a master of my own time." And he became more peaceful, more present, more alive, and he said, "The clock was a tyrant, and the tyrant was in my head, and the tyrant is dead, and the time is my own, and the time is now." The 9th story is a story of a painter who painted a portrait of a woman who was the love of his life. But the portrait was not of her face, it was of her absence. It was a portrait of the empty space where she used to be, and the painter was obsessed with the portrait. He spent years on it. He poured his grief, his longing, his despair into the canvas. And the portrait was a masterpiece of sorrow, and he showed it to a friend. And the friend said, "This is beautiful, but where is she?" And the painter said, "She is gone, this is a portrait of her absence." And the friend said, "You are painting the wrong thing. You are painting the void, but the void is not her. She is not in the void. She is in the memory. She is in the love. She is in the life you shared. Paint that paint, the memory. Paint the love, paint the life." And the portrait will not be a portrait of sorrow, it will be a portrait of celebration. And the painter was silent, and he realized that his friend was right. He had been so focused on the loss that he had forgotten the gift of having known her, the gift of having loved her, the gift of having lived with her, and he painted a new portrait, a portrait of her laughter, her smile, her warmth, and the portrait was not a masterpiece of sorrow, it was a masterpiece of joy. And the twist is that he hung the portrait in his home, and he looked at it every day, and he did not weep. He smiled, and he said, "The absence is not the end. The absence is a door to the memory, a door to the love, a door to the life, and the life is the portrait, and the portrait is the love, and the love is eternal." The 10th story is a story of a city that was built on a lie that was told so many times that it had become the truth. And the lie was that the city was built on solid ground, but it was not. It was built on the back of a giant beast. A beast that was sleeping, a beast that had been sleeping for 1,000 years, and the people of the city lived their lives. They built their houses, they raised their children, they made their art, and they never knew that they were living on a sleeping giant. And one day the giant stirred. It rolled over and the city crumbled, and the people were terrified, they were confused, they were lost, and they asked, "What happened?" And a wise woman said, "The city was built on a lie, And the lie was the belief that the ground was solid, but the ground was never solid. The ground was always the giant. And the giant is the truth. And the truth is that we are not in control. We are not on solid ground. We are on the back of a mystery, and the mystery is the only solid thing. The mystery is the only constant. The mystery is the only home, and the people were silent, and they realized that the wise woman was right. They had been living on a lie of security, a lie of control, a lie of permanence, and the lie had been shattered, and they were free. And the twist is that they did not rebuild the city on the back of the giant. They built a city that was mobile, a city that moved with the giant, a city that was a part of the giant, a city that was not a thing but a relationship. And they said, the solid ground was a lie, the giant is the truth, and the truth is the movement, the truth is the mystery, the truth is the life, and the life is the city, and the city is the giant, and the giant is us. And we are the giant, and we are the mystery, and we are the life, and we are the city, and we are the home.